There we go. So, good morning, everybody. Um, Today, we're going to have a critique of your Wix websites, and we'll kind of go in order of the attendees. So, Dan, you're first up, and I notice that you have unmuted your mic. So,
Yes.
if you want, go ahead and tell us a little bit about. Did you do this on Wix?
Yeah, this is my Wix website. And
Okay.
so I Wix is pretty straightforward, pretty easy to use. Um and as you know, I do a lot of um computer animation, art and work. And so I decided to make this sort of an online resume,
Right. Yeah.
all my, all the work that I've done and concept work that I've done. So I basically uploaded a bunch of images that I did, and then um, I decided like what I wanted on my homepage, and I I just customized it to to show and highlight some of the work that I've done.
Yeah. Now, tell us about the theme of your website, the overall design a little bit, because it truly does say that you are a modeler or an animator and you work in digital art,
Right.
especially
So
when you look at the dark background and the model background that you have.
right.
So just looking at that without any images at all, it kind of screams computer modeling and animation. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, I wanted to make the theme like when you first look at the site right away, with the background, I wanted uh, a hint of what I can do and the tools that I work with. So, so I used an image of a project that I worked on, and I made it to where it didn't stick out like a sore thumb, like it was a subtle hint. So I made it nice, and I gave it the darker background, so that way it wasn't too distracting. But you got the idea, like, okay, this guy does animation. He knows how to, he knows about rigging, and so that was the idea behind that. I I took uh, the the mosaic that's back there. I did that in
Mhm.
Photoshop. I just kind of put these images together of
Right.
uh, of that, and then that's uploaded and then used as the background. And then the main the slideshow that's there just gives you just kind of goes through the gallery of stuff that I've done. Just a few seconds of like to preview. There is the ability to click on it to speed through it if you want to, but
Hmm.
really the idea is just to kind of highlight the gallery and give you a hint of the work that I've done. Um, and of course, I have my name up at the top, and a little bit, that I'm an artist and I'm an animator and I do photography. And then below that is my logo, concept animation, digital art. That's kind of my thing. And because that I get a lot of people that ask me, hey, I've got this idea, and I want to bring this to life, kind of thing. So that's the whole idea behind concept. And then after the concept, I'll actually do the animation, so that way they can see their idea come to life. And a lot of the art I do is digital art, so that's the whole thing behind that. And of course, across the top, you have the shortcuts. So if you just want to get straight to the nitty gritty, you can go to the digital art,
Right.
or you can go to the photography, or you can go to some of the short videos that I've created.
Mhm.
And then of course I have like a little short resume, a little bit about myself.
Right. So
And then
a couple of things that I wanted to comment on to let everybody else know is that um, if you use Dan's website as an example, um, a couple of things. There's consistency. Well, no, the most important thing is that his website works, it functions. You don't see any blank images where there are any broken links and things like that. It all works. That's the most important thing. Then, look at the theme. Does that theme communicate what he does or what he wants it to communicate? Clearly, he works in digital arts, and that's the main theme, the main function of the website in animation and modeling with some videos and that sort of thing. So that's important, and it does do that. So when you use, and it's not uncommon for folks in digital arts to use a dark background like that to showcase their work against it. But I caution you that when you do it, then you might have issues, especially if you, I mean, it works in Dan's case because he's used white text against the black background. So it reads very nicely. But I don't know if any of you have seen websites where they use red text or blue text or green text against a very dark background, and the text is really hard to read and almost illegible. So your color scheme and your theme are really important. If you do choose a dark background, make sure, and this would be true in print as well. Make sure that the color of the text that you use is light or contrasts with the background so that it's legible, it's easy to read, unless that's a part of your conceptual work and you want it to be difficult. But in this case, you don't. You want to, communicate quickly what he does. The other thing is that there's a lot of content, and I think that's something that you guys will gradually do, get to as you work and through Cerritos or you work in the field, that you'll start to add and edit content. And Dan has a lot of content on his website. And probably last but not least is that the navigation through his website is pretty straightforward and clear. Unless you want to be tricky about it, it's really unnecessary to get fancy with the navigation. You want to make it as easy as possible for the end user to go from page to page or to get to a specific location on your website without a lot of mess or fuss. And Dan does that as well. So, that's pretty much all I want to say. Now, if you want to include, as he has here, social websites, that sort of thing, that's fine. And he has, a contact page. And sometimes if you want, you can just leave the contact at the footer, as Dan has done, or you can put it within a contact page as well. Okay. Consistency, it functions. It also communicates what he does very effectively. Yeah, I just say, yeah, I don't have any. Now, you did this, one more thing before we go on, is that you have, hold on here, I have in the chat, let's see. Oh, okay, that's Gen X. Yep, I see you there. Okay. I will talk you through it then. Sorry to interrupt. Um, anyway, one of the things that you'll notice when you have free websites, and this is addressed to everyone, not Dan, is that if we look at the next one up here, okay, and you look at the URL, it doesn't really roll off your tongue, okay, because it involves using wix.com, and it's some, strange address, URL that you have. And if you, by comparison, if you were to look at mine, or if you were to look at Dan's, it's danbreelandarts.com. Now you can continue to use the Wix website, and for a modest fee, you can get through companies like GoDaddy.com, which is what I have done in the past. You can get purchase a domain name, and that's like $10 to $15 a year. And then once you purchase that domain name, you can use their forwarding feature, so that when someone types in your URL, like in Dan's case, danbreelandarts.com, or in my case, it would be, Kirk Miller Art, or, .com, or kmart66.com. What it does is it goes to website, it goes to the GoDaddy, and then what they do is they forward it to the Wix website. So without having to spend an arm and a leg on having someone host your website. And that's really not that expensive. I spend maybe $10 a month. But if you don't want to spend anything, if you want to spend maybe $10 a year, then you would buy your own domain name and maybe use the forwarding feature, as I say, like through GoDaddy.com. And that's worked really well for me for a long time. So again, that's just some thoughts. It's specific about Dan's because his was the most developed, but then I wanted to talk about some other features as well that the rest of you might consider. And on a separate day, I'll show you how to use the forwarding feature at GoDaddy. Okay.
Yeah, that step is really easy to do, because I decided to just register the danbreelandarts.com through GoDaddy, and I mean it's super cheap, and then when you go to Wix, there's a place in Wix where you tell it, oh yeah, I already have a domain name, and then
so either way, you can do that either way. You can either go through, because some hosts don't allow you to do that, the free hosts, because one of the things that they do is they add advertising and that sort of thing. But yeah, if you have a domain name, then they allow you to use it, and that's cool. So that's something, but that's, like I say, that's between $10, $15 a year. And if you, buy it in 2 to 3 year increments, it's $20, $30, and it's not terribly expensive, and it's definitely worth doing. Okay, cool. Thank you, Dan.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, so is Miranda here? Yes, Alexis, do you want to unmute yourself?
Oh, yeah, I'm here.
Okay. So walk us through your website. Here's your homepage.
I guess I really try to give it like this futuristic design and stuff, and like I tried giving it as much expression as I could. And now that I look at Dan's, I feel like he has so much work, and I thought it was so nice. And right here, I kind of just scratched the surface of some of the stuff I do. And yeah, I don't really have that much to say about it, like in terms of
Probably I like it that it's colorful, that again, it's consistent, it all functions, it works nicely. Probably little things that could be changed up a little bit. For example, on the contact page, notice how the map is butt up against the form here, that you could add margins or padding, probably margins either to the bottom of the form or to the top of the map to give it a little bit of air, a little bit of space between the two. Little things like that. But again, the dark background works well. I like the bright yellow on either side of your nav bar. It really highlights it and attracts your eye to it, and it works really nicely in that way. Probably the only suggestion I would have for you, and it would be a suggestion that I would probably have for almost everyone, is that over time, add content, to make your website, I don't know, it functions fine as is, but just, to add more meat to it is all. So, and that's something, one of the things that I especially like about web design as opposed to print is that it's sort of organic. It is, it's, when you're working print, once it's done, and you printed it. And if you want to print another version of it, you can, but you always have the first version as a separate entity. In web design, it's a little bit different. You can continue to work on it, edit, manipulate, manipulate it, add to the content as you go, so that it really is never finished. And what you have done, you've used is a nice undulating background here, this animated background. It's consistent with the rest of the colors that you're working with. So it works, very nicely that way. Your portfolio is fine. But, what I would add to is, again, the only criticism, and it's not really a criticism, it's just that I know as students, you don't have a whole lot to say. So, or you don't have, a significant curriculum vitae, one that's that deep. But it's something that you could add to, that's all. And the other thing is too, that typically with animation, when you use it in backgrounds, you do have to be careful because it can be a distraction. But just looking at, for example, your About Me page, and you notice that the subtle shadow of the leaves in the background moving just ever so subtly. And I know that that's, a background that they provide for you. It's not one that you created, but it works really well. It's a nice contrast to the image that you provided. Then it doesn't really the animation doesn't distract. Back in the day when everybody used animated GIFs and they would flicker on and off and they would go really quickly, and they would never end and never stop. They would just be a total distraction. Sound can be a distraction too if you're not careful. If you add background sound or music or something, it might sound wonderful the first couple of minutes, but then after that, if you don't provide for the end user a way of turning off the sound, it can be really annoying. But yeah, that's the only thing. Is there something that you want to add?
I have
what I said?
On my homepage, I kind of did add a little bit more stuff. Like if you like scroll down on my homepage, I kind of did try to add some stuff, but like you said, I really didn't have that much to say.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Let's see. Is Cynthia here? I don't see. Hold on here. I don't see Cynthia here today. So let's go to the next one. Carlos, you're there? You want to unmute yourself?
Hi.
Hello, Carlos.
Hi. So yeah, this is my website. I really just designed it as a portfolio website. I am, after the semester, supposed to graduate, so I figured it'd be a good start, which is why I'm kind of glad this assignment happened. But yeah, pretty much in the main homepage, which is the portfolio, I threw in all the works that I got like A's in my class, in my classes, and I threw in a little bit about me. And for the blog, it's stuff that I had worked on at home,
Mhm.
and I try to keep it a little casual and actually like a blog, to where it's kind of like stuff that I'm currently working on now. And that's pretty much really all I had to say.
Okay. It's well, first off, it functions, so that's a huge plus. Works nicely. Um, the quality of your images are work really well, and so I like that. Works nicely. The criticism I have are on a few points. It would be easy to change. One is that when you have the nav bar at the bottom, that can be a problem, because then you'll notice that on my screen, I have to scroll to get to it. And if you have a fixed nav bar at the top, it's always present. It's always available to the end user, so they can go from page to page to page very quickly. So that's,
Yeah,
yeah,
sorry.
that's one thing that can change.
Yeah, I couldn't for the life of me figure it out, because when I
Okay.
moved it to the top on every other page, it would just disappear. And I tried to bring it back, but I couldn't figure that out.
Okay. Well, I would probably delete it and then try to bring it back. Instead of trying to move it, move to the top of the page and see if you can't add it that way. Yeah, sometimes it's a little difficult with Wix to figure things out, but with a little bit of perseverance, it will work. But anyway, that's what I would do. And it depends on when you add it too. That could have been an issue. If it wasn't the first thing that you added, then sometimes it could be, it stacks it in the order that you have added things. So that could be one of the reasons. I don't know. I would have to look at your page and see. So that's one thing. The second thing is that I wouldn't have your portfolio page as your home page, because what that does is it sort of reveals everything a little bit too quickly, showing the client too much too fast. If there isn't a lot of, because the whole page is visible. If you had a slideshow, as Dan did, that would be a different animal altogether. So that would be a consideration. If you like this kind of format for your work, and I think it works just fine, like so. That works really nicely. And I like that you have descriptions and that sort of thing. I would stick with that. But what I would do is I would probably then add one more page and just put a nice big splashy background and have Carlos Suarez, graphic design studio on there, and that's it. And then have links to all the other pages. So that's two things that I would change. The third is, I know that you used one of their background images, and it does communicate graphic design, that you're a digital graphic designer, but it looks a little formal for my taste. And I would try to find maybe something that you have done to use as a background image, to maybe screen it back and change it. Either leave the value that you have, because the images read against it quite nicely. But that would be, it would personalize it a little bit more, I think. That would be it. But it all works well. So kudos. It has a very cohesive appearance throughout each of the pages. So that's very important. And as I said, it functions. There aren't any glitches. There aren't any, broken links or anything like that. So you've done well. Okay. Okay, Carlos.
Thank you.
Okay. Does that work? Do you have any comments or any thoughts
No,
about what I have said?
I wrote them all down here on the sketchbook
Okay.
to
Well,
changes.
think about that, not for changing this one immediately, but for when working on the Mobirise website, think about that as you're building that. So move
Right.
forward. Don't return to this unless you have a lot of extra time.
Right.
And then when you're working on the final website, which will be done in Dreamweaver, then again, it will be a revision once again. So, you'll refine it. So yeah, and I really like how you have explained each of your images. That's really, really nice. It's extremely helpful to a prospective client. Okay.
Quick question. I noticed on I was trying to change this too to make accessing the website easier. I noticed on Dan's URL was shorter.
Wait. I'm having trouble hearing you, Carlos, because it's sounding sort of echoey. Keep
Can you
going.
hear me now? So how do I make the website URL or that search bar on top smaller? Instead of having that long Carlos Suarez 99.wixsite.com and all that.
I will talk about that on another day, and I will show you guys how to go to GoDaddy and create buy a domain name, and then we can go back to Wix and where you set up your website. If they say that you have a domain name, then you can insert that. If they don't let you do that after you've created it, you might have to create a new website with them and then do it at that time. I don't know if they'll let you edit it. Okay, we'll do that.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, next up is Natalie. Here she is. Natalie, do you want to unmute yourself?
Yeah. So for my website, I kind of wanted to make it look bright and colorful. So that's kind of what I went for in the background. And for like the header, I chose like bright blue for like the text and the buttons.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't really have much work to show.
It's, Natalie, it's functional, it's clean. I think that's a good word for it. It's really clean and elegant in that regard. Probably, and again, it functions well in the sense that it's, there aren't any broken links and it's easy to navigate through your website and all. So you're good to go. Probably the only criticism I would have is the color that you've chosen for the background that goes behind Natalie Duenas. Okay, that kind of blue has a kind of a corporate feel to it. And I don't think you want to communicate corporate. I mean, the rest of the website doesn't look corporate at all. But that kind of color is often used for, like IBM, for Microsoft, for banks, things like that.
Okay.
So you might want to soften a bit and use, because the pastels that you have going on in the background here are really dynamite. They work perfectly. So if you could maybe take one of those colors, like the turquoise or the pinks, or the kind of a cerulean blue or something, but not quite as harsh, and replace the color. And
would it still work for the, oh, sorry.
What's that?
Oh, would it still work for like the buttons when you hover over them, like About Me and Resume? The bright blue?
Yeah, that worked.
Okay. So just the header then?
Yeah, just the colors. Try something, because you're
Okay.
consistent, and that's important, really, really important throughout a website or in print if you're making a book or if you're designing a magazine or something, that it's consistent from page to page to page so that the person knows that they are there. And later when we
Alrighty.
and later when we get to navigation, or adding links to go to pages within our website or outside. I mean, Wix does that for you automatically. But it's really important that when you navigate to a page that is an external link and you that takes you away from your website, that the kind of look that you've developed is important so that they know that, oh, I'm not here anymore. I'm not at Natalie's website. And that would be very clear to them. So you've done a good job. That now, if you like the look of the balloon, you know, it's just, that's from my design perspective, that's my thought.
Okay, thank you.
That's all. Okay. Thank you. Okay, Natalie, good job.
Thank you.
Let's see, is Giselle here? No. How about David? Are you here? Yeah, David, you want to unmute yourself? David? Hello? You have your microphone? You have a microphone? Maybe he stepped away. Oh, anyway, you can, hold on. There's a new message down there. It doesn't let you unmute because it shows here that you are, wait a minute. Okay, wait a minute. There we go. My apologies. How about now?
Yeah, hello.
There you go.
Hi.
So go ahead, tell us a little bit about what you have.
Well, I didn't want to make my website like too flashy. Like I just wanted to be like straight to the point. Um, I wish I also like added more like artwork, but like a lot of the stuff I did was in a old computer and I forgot the password of. So luckily these images are from a OneDrive. Yeah, it's a really like simple website, but I actually like really like I like it. That's all.
Okay. So here are my thoughts. Okay, you use the one-page format that works fine. And the background animation that you have, or video that plays, has a nice soft feel to it. Probably my only criticism of it is, and I don't know if you can change it, because this is probably one that was provided by Wix, is that if you could change the rate, the frame rate of it, to slow it down a little bit. That
Yeah,
this would
that
almost at the place for me that it's, and that's just this is just my personal taste. Some people like, things that go fast. And if it would be possible to slow the moving water down a little bit, that would be great. So, but it's a nice, clean, again, it has a nice, clean, fresh appearance to what you've done. I'm in agreement to you that if you could add artwork to it, that would be, great, but at least you've added a half dozen or so pieces, so that's a good start. The other thing that I would do too with your artwork is make sure that you add titles, and if you can add descriptions, that would be very beneficial to the viewer who's looking at your website. And then the other thing is too, when you have images like this, the milk, they're kind of cool images, but I don't know that they inform us that much about you. Since you started with a water theme, that this image makes a little bit more sense as a filler image than one of the kind of the foamy waves and that sort of thing. So if you could stick with that, that would make more sense. And down at the bottom, the footer here, where you have that kind of warm tan color, go with all cool colors so that you're a little bit more consistent. You know, use a light kind of turquoise that you have here for that. Okay?
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, but again, you're off to a great start. Okay?
Yeah, like I only.
Do you have any thoughts or comments? So, you know, my criticism or critique is not, I don't think is that harsh. There are little minor changes that, again, over time, that I don't know that I would make right now, but maybe later on, you know, when you're building, as I was telling someone else, when you're working on your Mobirise website, that you could take those sorts of things into consideration and think about that then. Okay?
Okay.
So it's a great start. You've done fine. You've done good. Okie doke. Thank you. Next person. Jenix, are you there? You want to unmute yourself?
I don't think my is it working?
It's working. I can hear you fine.
So I just used it as my portfolio too, the website,
Mm-hmm.
and I just put I like photography too, so I just put my picture on the background and just made it simple.
It is. Your website is very simple. Simple, I think, is the wrong word. It's just minimal,
Mhm.
but very elegant. The images that you've chosen that are playing here on your splash page really grab my attention. You know,
Thank
they're
you.
really elegant and very sophisticated. And this is the kind of look that I think, and this is for the entire class, not just you, works really, really well. That is minimal, and it really grabs my attention, and it makes me want to know more about what's going on here. So her splash page, as I would call it, works really, really nicely. Now, the other thing is you have, again, the navigation at the bottom, but the caveat is it's fixed at the bottom. So even when I scroll up, I don't have to hunt and peck for it. So that's, I think, a legitimate use of that, okay, of having navigation at the bottom. I like how you continued and you're consistent with the overall look, and you've stuck with your illustrations throughout. And that's a nice, very kind of pared down and minimal appearance or approach that you've taken to your self-portrait. Type choices and the fonts that you've chosen work really well. It's a nice, bold sans serif typeface that works especially well with everything. Using a simple 2-column format, this works really nicely for your resume. And reversing it out like that from, again, a textured background, it makes it easy to read, easy to follow. This is something that you could do quite handily, no matter what template you use in Mobirise. It's something that I would, strongly recommend. And then your images here, You have lots of really, really good images to show.
Thank you.
And again, you have a title, which also is sort of a description. And we can go to a nice slideshow in here. So that works really, really well. Okay, so this for a starter website, I think is really stunning. It really, really works super well. I don't have any criticism at all of it. Is there something that you would want to add though?
Nothing really. I had fun making it.
Okay.
Yeah, because I needed to make a portfolio too. So.
Well, it works. So if you want, if you can't attend on Tuesday, one of the things that we'll do, we're going to start lesson 9, but I will also, if you can't attend, watch the video, because one of the things that I'm going to do is I will talk to everybody about creating or developing a domain name so that you can, use that. And I wouldn't change a thing. I would most definitely use it as your personal website and showcase your work. Yeah.
Thank you so
Just
much,
as it.
Professor.
I wouldn't change a thing.
Thank you.
Okay. But to have your own personal domain name would be kind of like the icing on the cake.
Yeah.
You don't have to do that. That's not required for the class. That's just for you.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. It's good to hear from you. And let's see if we have one more here. Wait a minute. I forget. Whose is this one? Are they here or not? Because this is just kind of a starter. And there's a lot of work that still needs to be done on here. Because this is just the basic, using their default images and forms and things like that to build your website. So you have to build it and make it more personal. So no one's going to take credit for this one. Is this one? I don't know whose this is. No? Oh, Nelson, this is yours? Go ahead. So tell us where you're going to go with this. It's a good start, but yeah, there's a lot more that you need to do.
Yeah, I've noticed that. I especially haven't seen everyone else's work. But, you know how it is with deadlines and all that.
Okay, now some thoughts. If, for example, for the portfolio page or for a slideshow or examples of work, if you don't have a lot that you want to show, it doesn't have to be a website about your artwork. It doesn't have to be a graphic design website. If you have a favorite hobby or pastime or passion that you want to showcase, the whole website could be about you and your relationship to that. As I said, last semester, one of the things that a student did is that her family rescued stray dogs. And so her entire website was about that. It was really very robust. She added a lot of content that she gave, not only examples of the dog, photos and slideshows of the animals that they rescued, but also a history of what her family had done, and how they got interested in rescuing animals and what you have to do in order to to adopt an animal and things like that. So it was entirely about that. So, but that requires, it's easy if you already have content that you want to showcase. If you don't, then this requires a bit of thought, but she's using it for herself right now. Anyway,
I do got some other.
it's just
Go on.
it's just food for thought.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, I'll work on it some more another time.
Okay,
That's
and by all means, and then when you have more to show, then resubmit, and then I will, I can always, and this is for everyone. At any time, you want to resubmit artwork, you have until the end of the semester. And to do so, and I will revisit it and, give you a better grade. Okey doke. I think that's all of the websites that I have, unless somebody is missing one that I don't know about. And if we do, that would be it today. Okay, I hope this was helpful for all of you. As I said, on Tuesday, what we'll do is we're going to start off by going to GoDaddy and checking out how you can purchase domain names and the cost and that sort of thing. And then I can show you their forwarding feature, and then we can go to Wix and we can look at how, if you already have a domain name, you can put that in there.
green stuff.
Okay,
Agreed.
and then we'll
Yeah,
continue with we'll start lesson 9, which is our different ways of adding content to your pages in Dreamweaver. Okay, so I think that's it for today. Unless somebody has something they want to add. No. Okay, then we're done for today. You guys are free to leave. I'm gonna say goodbye for now. We'll bring this down here.
See you next week, Professor.
Yeah, so let me go ahead and scroll up here. Yeah, you too. Everybody have a great day. Have a good weekend, and we'll see everybody next week. So I'll go ahead and I'll stop the recording, and that will be it. And I'll post this in an hour or so. Okay.